Hi, this is Reverend Bill Banuchi, the Executive Director of the New York State Faith and Freedom Coalition and AmericaByFaith.org. I want to spend a couple of minutes tonight talking to you about some of the crazy issues that are going around in the nation today. Uh, some of the issues that we see that really we end up scratching our heads and saying, what could be the solution to all the craziness that we see going on in the nation today? Well, I believe that our founders actually gave us the solution in the phrase, one nation under God. I mean, we've all heard the phrase one nation under God, but do we really know where it started and what it really means? And does it have any relevance to American life today? Or is it just some saying made up by some old white men that is totally meaningless in today's progressive society? Well, in the answer to these questions, we find a solution, I believe, to America's most current and pressing issues. So let's first take a look at where it started. Though the phrase under God can be found in many of the writings of our founding era, we can make particular note of Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, where he dedicated a burial place of fallen soldiers to a new birth of freedom under God. An excerpt, and I quote, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Then in 1954, the phrase under God was added to our Pledge of Allegiance after President Eisenhower was inspired to do so by a sermon that he heard preached in church. Next, let's go to the motto stamped on our coinage, E pluribus unum, or out of many one. This first appeared on the Great Seal of the United States as early as 1782. It has since been one of the traditional mottos of our land. So from these two great ideas, we get the ideal one nation under God. And what does it mean? The word nation signifies a group of people. According to the dictionary.com, a large body of people associated with a particular territory that is sufficiently conscious of its unity to seek or to possess a government peculiarly of its own. The idea that we are one nation suggests that we are a group of people that identify as Americans. It is that name symbolized by one flag that unites us. Teddy Roosevelt gave a speech to the Knights of Columbus in New York City back in 1915, at a time when there was a lot of European migration coming in to the United States. And he said this, and I quote, he said, "There's no room in this country for a hyphenated Americanism. When I refer to hyphenated Americans, I do not refer to naturalized Americans. Some of the very best Americans I have ever known were naturalized Americans, Americans born abroad, but a hyphenated American is not an American at all." This is just as true of the man who puts native before the hyphen as of the man who puts German or Irish or English or French. Today I would add African American or Hispanic before the hyphen. Americanism is a matter of the spirit and of the soul, he said. Our allegiance must be purely to the United States. We must unsparingly condemn any man who holds any other allegiance. But, he went on to say, if he is heartily and singly loyal to this republic, then no matter where he was born, he is just as good an American as anyone else. The one absolute certain way of bringing this nation to ruin, of preventing all possibility of its continuing to be a nation at all, would be to permit it to become a tangle of squabbling nationalities. Close quote. The idea that we identify as one people above all others doesn't negate our cultural or ethnic differences, but it does make those differences subordinate to the unity we find as Americans committed to the ideals expressed in our founding documents. Abraham Lincoln reminded us, and world history confirms the biblical truth, that a house divided cannot stand. You know, the term balkanization has been entered into our modern lexicon to describe what happens when this unity is lost. The natural state of societies is, in fact, balkanization, or tribalism. The fact that we have progressed as one nation over 400 years is actually the exception, not the rule. And in that regard, we are an exceptional nation. Foreign enemies like China and Russia, whose systems are antithetical to liberty, understand what Abraham Lincoln noted as a young man, that this nation will never be conquered by an outside force. He said, if we fail as a nation, it will be because we have committed national suicide. He said that to the Young Men's Lyceum in 1838. The American banner, therefore, must be the banner that we rally around. The American identity must be the one we identify with. We must be one nation, not many nations, many groups, or many tribes. Now, under God. The phrase under God has been part of our nation's DNA from its very founding. The signing of the Mayflower Compact was the first time in world history that a nation was actually formed by mutual agreement of free people. In the first organic document, the new arrivals stated why they came here, and they said, and I quote, they said, for the glory of God and the advancement of the Christian religion. Now, throughout our history, it has always been a given fact that our liberties were derived from God's laws. In that sense, we have always been under God, accountable to Him and responsible to live according to His instructions as we come to understand them through the Holy Bible. Even Thomas Jefferson, one of the least religious of our founders, warned us that, and it's inscribed on his monument in Washington, D.C. You can see it for yourself. And he said, and I quote, he said, can the liberties of a nation be thought secure when we have removed their only firm basis, a conviction in the minds of the people that these liberties are the gift of God, that they are not to be violated but by His wrath? Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, that His justice will not sleep forever. Thomas Jefferson recognized that we must remain under God if we are to continue as a nation of free men and women. Now, we may debate what it means to be under God. We may debate what God's will is for us. We may debate how His laws should apply to modern life, but we dare not debate whether we are in fact under God and subject to His sovereignty unless we're ready to surrender our liberty. So in conclusion, there you have it, the answer to so many of our nation's ills. It is the answer to our racial and our ethnic strife. It is the answer to our sexual and our moral confusion. It is the way to continue to grow into that more perfect union envisioned by our founders. So let us raise the banner of our unity above the banners of our diversity, reaffirming once again that we are in fact one nation under God. And we will find that peace and prosperity promised to us by the author of life Himself, so that we may pass it on to the next generation. After all, His promises, He said in Psalm 33:12, He said, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. So let us answer whenever somebody comes out with a label or a call to divide us or to bring out certain groups or types or whatever. Let us answer that with the phrase, no, we are one nation under God. We need to proclaim that from coast to coast if we're to see healing and order brought back to our American way of life. Be ready to give an answer to those who ask about the hope that you have inside. And to help you do that, we have a couple of things here to help. The message that I just shared with you, we put it in a trifold brochure called One Nation Under God. We'd like to send that to you. Just let us know. We'll be glad to send it to you. And in addition to that, we have magnetic bumper stickers for your car. Easy on and easy off. Put them on, and if you're driving through enemy territory, you can take them off for a little bit. But again, you can proclaim that we are one nation under God, and never be ashamed to answer those who ask you about the issues going on. Tell them the answer to our issues is that motto, that we are one nation under God. Now, I'll try to put the website to our store underneath the video if I can figure it out. If I can't, you can go to our website, nyfaithandfreedom.com or americabyfaith.org, and you can pick up these the magnetic bumper stickers and the brochures there as well. Just let me know, okay? So in the meanwhile, we pray that you got something for this brief message. Now, do your part and share it far and wide. Okay? Take care and God bless.